Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show. Sorry about yesterday. I wasn't here Monday. Me and Mo are back today. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walls. I can somehow right. I got the man that knows better. It's Mr. Mo better.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, chat. On a wonderful Wednesday. Let's get into it.
So, I didn't get a chance to get my take on the Super Bowl. I heard y'all talk about it Monday, obviously. I didn't get a chance to give my take on that. It's going to be a very heavy NBA show. But before that, I kind of want to talk about how the Super Bowl ended up. And I wanted to kind of give my take. By the way, first year in the last 6, I was wrong against the spread. Doesn't happen often, but this year, the NFL genius was more like the NFL dummy. I picked the New England Patriots to win. I guess I was not understanding how good that Seattle defense truly was. Mo, the question that I ask anyone, especially someone that watched the Super Bowl, is that defense as historic as it looked in that Super Bowl, or is that the nice way to put it, was that a product of who they played? Because prior weeks they played the Rams, and the Rams looked like they moved the ball pretty efficiently. They played a beat-up 49ers team, and they were ranked number 3 in the NFL in defense this year. They weren't 1. So would you consider this Seattle Seahawks team historic defensively?
No, I think it's a great defensive unit, but you kind of spelled it out. The Niners kind of overachieved, but Seattle, they overwhelmed a beat-up Niners team. They did not stop the Rams. The Rams moved the ball up and down the field. They won that football game on the strength, actually, on their offense, because Sam Darnold probably played his best football game ever, and nobody could guard JSN. Look, when you think of historic defenses, I think of the original Seahawks defense, the Legion of Boom, and how dominant they were, how dominant Ray Lewis's Ravens were, how dominant your Eagles were, even all the way back to like the 85 Bears. Those are dominant historical defenses. It's a great defense. I just don't think it ranks with those defenses.
I mean, I agree with you. I was going to ask you the question, the 2015 Seattle Seahawks or this version, which one did you think was, which one do you think ended up playing out better? I think I know your answer.
Oh, it was definitely 2015. I mean, they completely whitewashed an offense that throughout the regular season was a dominant offense, and they completely shut them down. That's another thing. It's not just how great the defense is. When you go up against a great offense and you shut them down, that validates just how dominant that defense is. It's not a knock against the Patriots. I wouldn't call their offense prolific.
I sorry about that. I just had an audio difficulty. I don't think it's prolific also, but when you're looking at that Patriots offense over the regular season, I don't agree with the notion that they were a product of their schedule. I understand all the conversations about the schedule this, schedule that. I think that's lazy. I think that's lazy commentary. I think what you looked at is you've seen a rookie quarterback in his first Super Bowl, not rookie, second-year quarterback in his first Super Bowl, rookie to the playoffs. And I think that, I don't want to say the moment was too big for him, but I would say that he wasn't necessarily ready for that moment. Drake May looked shook. Where I was watching the Super Bowl app, we looked at his face. We looked at like his expressions. Like it looked like he was so worried about throwing that interception that he was almost like pressuring the ball too low. He missed a couple wide open receivers. I watched the All 22 on the Super Bowl already, and Mo, he missed 2 or 3 absolute coverage blowns. Like the Seahawks blitzed him from the blind side, and they blitzed him from the front side all day, and you could tell he wasn't not necessarily ready for those blitzes. I don't know if that's Mike McDonald confusing him, or like I go back to Tom Brady words that he said when you asked Tom Brady what made him special. He's like, I wasn't the fastest. I couldn't throw the ball the furthest. I wasn't even the most accurate. But what I was the best at was walking to the line of scrimmage and knowing what the defense was running. He talked about that when he played the Chiefs as the Buccaneers. He's like, I knew that defense better than they knew their defense. I would leave the huddle up during cover 2. They're blitzing from the right side. I knew exactly what they were doing before they knew what they were doing. Drake May in year 2 doesn't have that mental makeup yet, in my opinion. No, obviously not the same as the GOAT. I'm just meant like have the mental makeup to be able to read a disguise defense.
It's a fair assessment. I thought that Drake May was doing something that a lot of young quarterbacks do early on. I thought he was holding the ball, waiting for guys to come open versus on the timing routes, letting the ball go. He was just holding the ball too long. And yes, the offensive line got overwhelmed at times. But your quarterback I felt that he was playing not to make the big mistake rather than just playing.
You're absolutely correct. And, I think there's a lot of things that were wrong with that Super Bowl. And I don't think there was a lot of things that went well. I think it was a very unentertaining game. We kept watching it, hoping the Patriots would get back into it. And after the Mac Hollins touchdown, and then they get a stop, I'm like, oh, they score here. They get stopped within one possession, and then the interception, and which, by the way, was a brutally bad interception that he threw to the middle of the field. You have a receiver running a deep post. You're not leading him whatsoever. It was brutal. So entertainment value, the last 2 Super Bowls have been kind of duds. Very not entertaining. Obviously you go back to the Super Bowl 3 years ago, and I don't want to bring up a bad memory for you guys, but 49ers versus Chiefs was our last very entertaining Super Bowl. Then Eagles, Chiefs, very entertaining Super Bowl.
Fair.
These last 2 have been absolute duds. You almost knew who was going to win the game at halftime. At least last year, it was like 27-0. This year, it was 12-0. I seen 4 field goals. I had to wait to see my first touchdown at the end of the third quarter.
And it's funny because at 12-0, I still was like, well, Seattle they're still in this. Like their defense, I thought their defense played well. I mean, not Seattle, but the Patriots defense played well. They just didn't get any help from their offense. But from an entertainment standpoint, I talked about this while I was watching. I was like, this is one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen in terms of entertainment value. Look, I go back to the Steelers versus the Seahawks. That's a boring Super Bowl too. The one where I think Hines Ward was the Super Bowl MVP. That was a boring Super Bowl. This one topped that one in terms of boredom. Like no entertainment value. The most entertaining thing about this Super Bowl were probably the commercials and the debate about the halftime show. That was about it.
There should be no debate about the halftime show.
Not from me. I'm good.
No, I know, but I think I want to say this out loud. I took pride of keeping this a sports network, and we've really kind of honed in on sports. And I don't want to go too far into this. I promise I won't go too long but like if you had an issue with what happened during halftime show, you need your fucking head examined. Like, you need your head examined because, like, someone got married. There was they preached love and happiness and togetherness. Like, it was, even if you didn't look, you don't like the music. There's plenty of Super Bowl. Katy Perry is nowhere on my Spotify playlist.
Same.
But like, I can understand Left Shark falling around. That was funny, and like, she put a performance on. I understood that, right? If I didn't like the music, I could always get a bite to eat or like whatever. Like, if you don't understand the music, okay, cool. How many old people that don't like hip hop turned off the halftime show when Eminem had the halftime show?
Millions.
So like, who cares? But like, I think your issue is internal. I think your issue is absolutely internal. And I'm going to end it there. I'm not going to take it any bit longer than that. But if you found yourself criticizing the halftime show, I think that you have a little bit more hate in your heart than you'd like to admit.
Agreed.
I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Gonna move forward. Any other final comments before we wrap up the Super Bowl? Because I'm gonna ask you one more thing, NFL, and then we're gonna move to a little NBA action.
I think that this season and the success that they had, I'm going to be really interested to see what Drake May can do and what he can build on going into next season. Because, like you said, this is still a very young quarterback. They're a very young team. I think they can build off this, which is funny to say. I said this on Monday's show. They can be a better football team next year. I think they'll be a better football team, but they might not have as much success.
At least there wasn't any bad lip syncing during the halftime show. Agreed, Damien. All right, so I agree. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mo. I always like doing this the day after the Super Bowl. Today we're going to do it tonight on Wire. Super Bowl is over. The 2025-2026 season is a wrap. Who is your 2026-2027 way too early Super Bowl prediction?
You know what? I'm going to go with my guy in the AFC, representing the AFC, because I just believe in this guy so much. I think he's going to be the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm going with Jim Harbaugh. That's my guy. But he's a mad genius. The NFC is so much more competitive, in my opinion. But I'll say this: in the NFC Championship game, I like your Eagles, and I like them playing against the Seahawks.
I do not like the Eagles. As an Eagles fan, I do not like the Eagles. If I was giving you a prediction for next year, I would go now. This is strictly solely because I believe in what they're doing. I would go Rams versus Ravens. Rams versus Ravens.
Ravens
feels to me like, well, new head coach, obviously very, very good defensive mind in Jesse Minter. I think that defense has all the tools to be a dominant defense. You look at what Seattle did this year. See, a lot of people are going to poo-poo with this, but look at the Ravens, how good they were under Mike Macdonald. And that was just 2 years ago. Their defense was elite 3 years ago. I think Jesse Minter gets that defense. I think Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, I think that defense is going to be loaded. And then I think Lamar, Derrick Henry, and the group can get the offense enough points to get to the Super Bowl. So I'll go Ravens versus Rams. I think this is Matthew Stafford's last hurrah. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. They have a very young defense. They have picks. I'll go Rams versus Ravens. Way too early.
It's way too early, but I'm not mad at that. That would be really big for the Ravens. The defensive side, I agree with. I just feel like in some ways we've kind of seen what you're talking about. I saw when they had a top defense a couple of years back, and when Lamar and Henry both had monster years, and then they got to the postseason and it didn't really matter as much. So we'll see.
Listen, if I guess it every year, I don't guess it every year, but if I guess it every year, I'm bound to be right sooner or later, right?
Facts.
Damien goes, I don't see it. I could be the new Chris Berman. Do you remember? I don't know how much you kept up with Chris Berman, but he had the same Super Bowl prediction for 13 straight years.
Is he the one that always had the Bills in there? Nobody circles the wagons, or who was it? It
was always versus 49ers.
Right. It was always the Bills. Yeah.
Bills, Niners every year. No one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I don't see the Seahawks going back to the Super Bowl with new ownership only because I don't think the Seahawks are keeping that team together. Hey, I'll tell you what, they better sign the Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker because Zach Charbonnet is going to be out for the majority of next year, if not all. They better sign the Super Bowl MVP back. Might have to overpay him, but he brings you a Super Bowl. You look what Philadelphia did with Saquon Barkley. They absolutely re-signed their best player, offensive player of the year, Saquon Barkley. You better sign a Super Bowl MVP back. Mo, want to move forward. Want to move to the NBA. Want to get into some NBA action. I have a gripe with the NBA, Mo. What's today's date? February 11th. Okay. I've seen tanking happen in April. I've seen tanking happen in late March. Never in the history of ever have I watched teams purposely try to lose games before the All-Star break. Purposely try to lose games before the All-Star break. I'm going to give you a couple examples. The Sacramento Kings a week, like 4 or 5 days ago, they were playing versus the LA Clippers. It's a 2-point game at the end of the third quarter. They have Domantas Sabonis. They have DeMar DeRozan. They have Zach LaVine. They have 3 guys that are NBA caliber players, very good players that could play for almost any franchise in the NBA. They're playing. They all played through 3 quarters. It's a 2-point game going into the fourth. They never entered the game again. Never entered the game again. Your 3 best players, they just sat on the bench whole fourth quarter. Okay, well, let's fast forward. The Utah Jazz are playing the Orlando Magic. New Jaren Jackson, 28 points through 3 quarters. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, absolutely killing it. That combo looked like they were meant to play together. They're beating the Magic by 8 points. Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen never entered the game again in the fourth quarter. That's the type of stuff that needs to get you investigated. What the Washington Wizards are doing right now should get them investigated. Trae Young isn't hurt. He's fine. He's good. Just sitting on the bench because they're preparing for next year and trying to keep their draft pick away from the New York Knicks. Which, by the way, I don't hate that they're doing that because I don't like the Knicks. But, like, what are we doing? What are we doing in the NBA? What is the NBA landscape has come to that we are tanking on February 6th?
I think that it's stuff like this is why viewership is down.
100%.
It's stuff like this why people question the athletes all the time in the NBA. And I'm not putting a blanket statement over all of them, but it's this kind of stuff that drives fans crazy. Like, you can be strategic in terms of what you want to do if you're a bottom dweller team and you're trying to hold on to draft capital, but that doesn't mean you should not be competitive, that you shouldn't put out your best product. I feel like a team like the Kings, who've been in the lottery more times than I can remember, even when they've gotten it right, they found a way to get it wrong. Remember, this team at one point had both De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton in the backcourt, and they said, we can't play them both. In a league that's supposed to be about positionless basketball, you can't play them both? Halliburton's 6'7". Why can't you play them both? Again, a franchise like the King drives me crazy. What the Wizards are doing, right? You're right. They're literally doing this because they don't want to give up their pick, which will go to the Knicks. So they're like, well, Trae's out. And they've already told you they're shutting down Anthony Davis for the year. So he's not playing at all. No. That drives me crazy. Because initially when the trade was made, I said, I know AD's injury history. But for once, it looked like the Wizards were making a move to where they could be relevant. If you have a healthy Trae Young and an Anthony Davis in the East, and you have that young talent to back them up, I hate to say it, the Wizards would be a legitimate competitive team. But they opt to tank instead, to hold on to draft capital, and I hate that. It is why the NBA, it had become the number 2 sport. And a big part of baseball's resurgence is that the fact that the NBA is fallen and more people are watching baseball again and less people are watching the NBA because of the product they put out. And it drives me crazy.
I mean, let's look at just last night, right? just last night, the Los Angeles Lakers playing on a back-to-back
Yeah.
just threw a game. They threw a game. Like, I understand that, like, you have to rest a 41-year-old LeBron James. Austin Reeves just coming back from injury. Luka's got a hamstring. They literally said, Marcus Smart, we're going to rule him out. They didn't even put an NBA basketball team on the court last night. That game was an embarrassment to the NBA. And that wasn't that a Peacock game or an Amazon Prime game?
It was an Amazon Prime game. And I'm a Laker fan. You can tell me you've got to rest LeBron. I actually understand that. Austin Reeves did just come back from injury. Luka's out. But all 5 of your starters, there's nothing wrong with Marcus Smart. DeAndre Ayton is 26 years old. Get out there and play. I'm not saying we would have won, but in sports, barring injury, you put out your best players. They rested all 5 starters, and you're right. The product they put out there was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I didn't even finish watching the game. I saw enough from the first quarter. I was done. Wemby was out there. Wemby looked like he was playing in practice mode. The guy had 34 points at halftime. It was a joke.
84-55 at the half.
That's beyond embarrassing. It's this kind of stuff that pushes fans away. Even the best fan bases, they've had enough.
I turned the game off. I went to bed. I was like, and honestly, I didn't expect much, Mo. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I seen the lineups come out, I laughed. But that was not basketball. And like a lot of those guys that are on the Lakers bench are G Leaguers. They're not NBA players.
We were running DHOs for Jake LaRavia, so come on.
Oh,
and this is not to say that Jake LaRavia is not a capable role player, but he is a role player. When he becomes the default number one, we've lost our mind. I don't know. My problem with Adam Silver is he's been a good steward of the league, but him being more concerned with guys playing 65 games and qualifying for accolades and all NBA teams, that's less important than guys playing and being competitive when fans go to see you. A Lakers-Spurs game is supposed to be a monster game, right? It's a big matchup. You get to see Wemby and Fox versus LeBron, and you get this kind of stuff. And it's a primetime game, and you get this kind of stuff. They don't realize, they just continue. Like, it's not all the players' fault, but they're big contributors in this. They're hurting their own product.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. It's frustrating to watch, and it's one of those things where, like, this is the time of year where I'm locked into all basketball. It's NBA, it's college basketball. It's NBA, it's college basketball. I will give a little bit of caveat to that Lakers game. I'm so happy Drew Timme got some run last night. I really like him. He's like the most old school player you'll ever watch play basketball. He's like the guy at the LA Fitness that has all the old school moves that, like, so skyhook. What's going on? What's going on with Drew? I love the way he plays basketball.
He just plays. Like, a lot of guys try to be cute or whatever. You can tell that Drew's that kind of guy that he just plays the game.
Yeah. He
just flat out, and he plays hard. I wish we had more guys like that in the league. I really do. Sadly, too many franchises and too many players are on board with, well, it's a back-to-back. You can't play tonight because it's a back-to-back. Like, and you can justify it, right? If you've got a 36-year-old Steph Curry, a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. But a lot of these guys, they're in their mid-20s or younger, and they're sitting them. And I don't understand that, and it's frustrating. And yet, this is the same league and the same players that will argue they need less games. They need to play less games. And that drives me crazy. Like, you're already not playing. Some of you are playing 60 games or less, and you want less games?
I couldn't agree with you more, Mo. It's a tough product to watch right now. It's very tough for me to get behind it at all. But there's some great games that just keep you locked in. I went to the Knicks 76ers game maybe 2 weeks ago. It was such a great basketball game. Great back and forth. The Sixers had the lead. Then the Knicks took a big lead. Then the Sixers rallied, came all the way back, and the Knicks ended up winning at the end. But like as a Sixers fan, I left that game. I'm like, I was entertained. It was worth the price of admission. I enjoyed it. I think tonight might not be the same. The Knicks playing an overtime game last night. I think a couple of guys might be sitting out. And like if you're spending $200 to get into a Knicks Sixers game, expecting it to be a good basketball game, and then an hour and a half before tip-off, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns are all ruled out. Are you really getting your money's worth?
Right.
Like, what do I get a rebate? Can I like apply for? Like, I understand injuries happen,
Right.
but like, what are we doing?
Right. And look, it just drives me crazy. And you know that's what's going to happen. The Knicks lost a close game. By the way, game they had no business losing.
No, the Pacers always play. The Pacers always play them well. The Pacers always. It's almost like Rick Carlisle has like the keys to the ignition to how to beat the Knicks.
Rick Carlisle to me is still one of the 3 best coaches in basketball.
Did you get the full Pacers Knicks experience?
What from the first game? I love it.
Did you watch it, the whole thing?
I mean, yeah, it was a really good competitive game, but like you said, Rick Carlisle and that crew, I think maybe because it's not just a rivalry, they're very familiar with what the Knicks do. Yep. And so they know how to take away Brunson. Like he had 40 last night, but when the game mattered the most, they blitzed him. They took the ball in his hands and dared Bridges or somebody else to step up. So, yeah, the Pacers just play them tough because they know them.
Completely agree. Let's talk about NBA, like our platform of where we're at going into the NBA Finals, right? What's good, Saigon? How you feeling, brother? Damian said, if you're a team like the Bulls, for example, who aren't going to do anything for a while, I don't see what is wrong with tanking, especially when you're let me tell you what's wrong with that. You might not agree with me, but I watched it happen in the 76ers organization, and it took years and years and years to wash the stench off of a losing atmosphere. When you preach losing and when you are used to losing, that culture is bred inside your locker room. It took Michael Jordan 7 years to get the stench out of Chicago of losing. You want to talk about Chicago? Let's go back. 1986, that team was a joke. They were a joke. Watch all the Michael Jordan documentaries. He'll tell you they were doing drugs, gambling, drinking before games. Listen, Michael Jordan is no saint. He was gambling also. But the point being is they didn't take themselves serious or their team serious. And you almost have to completely overhaul the roster to change that culture. Like, think about the coach. Think about how you have a coach coaching a basketball game with the intent to lose. It took years for the 76ers to wipe that stench of trying to lose, the process out of the building. Look at Washington. Do you think that's a winning atmosphere ever? They might be the worst franchise in the 20th century.
I think the Hornets might give them a run for their money. But to the Hornets' credit, outside of that crazy fight that happened a couple of nights ago, I think they had won like 8 out of their 9 games. And the Charlotte Hornets, they're gonna be competitive enough to actually find themselves in a play-in, which I know that's not a big deal for most franchises. But for franchises had no success at all, they've played their way back to respectability, and so I appreciate that from them. But you're right. There are certain franchises. You started off with Sacramento, and you can go with the Wizards. Everybody talks about Danny Ainge being Trader Danny, but when are those trades and all those picks going to benefit you? When are you going to start winning?
Right now.
You know what I mean? Because they have tons of talent. I actually think the pairing of Jaren Jackson, what's his name?
Rory Marketing.
Yes. That front line, and when they get Klingon back, like, think about that front line and what they could be. Like, they have all the talent in the world. It's not about this year, right? This year, continue to develop, but everything points in the right direction going into next season for the Utah Jazz.
when you said when are they going to start winning, my answer is right now. I think that next year that team is going to be incredible. I can't. So let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets. You brought them up first. I think the Charlotte Hornets are the most entertaining team in the league to watch play basketball right now. When Lonzo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Con Kanipo are on the court at the same time, they are actually a good basketball team. They can beat anybody on any given night. Not Lonzo, LaMelo. They actually really look like a good basketball team. Let's move over to Utah. Next year, you're going to pump a starting five out on that team of Keontae George, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson. Like, I think that team as a whole is going to be super competitive. I think they all fit together. They can switch to 1 through 4 on that team. Now, you got to stop playing Kevin Love. Kevin Love's you got to stop giving him minutes. He's unbearable to watch at this point. I don't know how much Kevin Love you've watched recently, man. He is unbearable to watch play basketball. Like, when we say a shell of someone, like, he is beyond a shell of himself.
I think his needs were shot 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the fact, I get it. He's a great character guy, great culture guy. So Kevin Love's actual value is in your locker room, not on the floor.
Completely agree with you. All right, guys. We're going to move forward to a little bit of NBA Finals. What are our, I don't want to say halfway point prediction, but we're basically there. We're at the All-Star break. We're right there. Mo, has anything changed with the SGA injury, with Jokic coming back, with the Rockets not going out and getting a point guard, which is literally unbearable? I cannot believe that team didn't go out and get a point guard. That is literally wasting Kevin Durant's last prime year, in my opinion. What is your thoughts on the Western Conference?
I think the West, like we all know, the East is wide open. The East really is wide open. I've said this. Even though Detroit is the front runner and they have a certain style, I still think the East is wide open. In the West, it's not as wide open. But if SGA is healthy, and I think he will be when it matters, I still think the Thunder are going to be the team to beat. Now, is there a team that could take them out? Yeah, look, we talked about this not too long ago. They're a young team, and usually a team this young, we're not even talking about them being in the championship picture. It's the Spurs. It's the Spurs because of Wemby. It's the Spurs because of Dylan Harper and Stephen Castle. They have 3 young alphas that play like veterans that are ready now. Like, Wemby's the best player, but the guy that's the dog, the alpha, it's actually Castle. Castle's the dog.
You watched last night, and sorry, Mocha. I apologize. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead. You're good.
You watched last night. Stefan Castle is the guy that didn't need to score. That wasn't trying to run it. That wasn't trying to get extra buckets. He was trying to get everyone else involved because that's his mental makeup. I loved watching Stephen Castle play basketball last night.
Yeah, and they're every bit as deep as the Thunder are. When you start talking about Devin Vassell and Harrison Barnes, like, they go that deep. Keldon Johnson, like, this is a really deep and talented young core. I still think it's interesting because a lot of people were like, they were worried about J-Dub, and if he's healthy, the Thunder just got him back. But I said they had the NBA's best record without J-Dub because SGA was playing like he wanted to run it back as the MVP. I still think because of it's not, and the thing is, every team has a flaw. The Thunder's biggest flaw is offensively, they don't shoot the 3 ball with a lot of consistency. It is their kryptonite if you want to stop them. But how they get you is their defense is so suffocating. They get a lot of buckets off of what they do defensively. They turn you over and they get in transition very fast. It's weird because the NBA is all about scoring, but the strength of the Thunder is their defense. Their defense has won a championship. I think barring a resurgence of the Nuggets whole, because Aaron Gordon is out again with an injury, I think the only team that can stand in their way from getting back to the finals is the San Antonio Spurs.
the Spurs match up really well with the Thunder. The Thunder are praying that someone else does the dirty work for them. I think styles make fights in the NBA. Just like I told you, I think the Indiana Pacers play the New York Knicks just differently. Like, I don't think the Pacers could beat I'm talking about a healthy Pacers team, can beat a Pistons team in a 7-game series right now. I just don't believe it. But if you go Pacers Knicks, the way the Pacers play them, it's just they have guards that can rotate on Brunson. They blitz him. They get the ball out of his hands. They have a team that can absolutely suffocate the Knicks. But in the Western Conference, there's a team that has a 7'4" alien that blocks everything in the lane, and the other team can't shoot really well from 3, so they really get a lot of their points in the lane. So when you have a guy that moves like Wemby, that blocks shots like Wemby in the lane, it's not good for the Thunder. I think if they played in a 7-game series, I'm picking the Spurs. I don't know if they have the juice to win it all, especially with them being so young. But, man, Wemby is a creature. He makes some plays that I just, wow. You know, like he made a couple plays last night where, granted, I don't think that anybody was taking that game seriously after the first quarter, but it looked like I was watching an N1 basketball game. But he made some plays. I'm just like, holy smokes. So many alley-oops they throw him, people just can't get to. It's not even like, it's like throw it up and he grabs it and just dunks it. I love Harper. I love Castle. Julian Champagny is another guy that you didn't talk about, but
3-and-D
absolutely can knock down the 3 ball with the best of them. I actually wish he was in the 3-point contest. That actually frustrates me that he's not, because the guy shoots the lights out. Speaking of, we're going to get right into the 3-point contest in a minute. I love the way the Spurs play basketball. I think their coach needs to do a better job of, I guess, rotations or understanding moments, sets. They're bad off of timeouts. They're bad in 1-possession games down the stretch. That's where the Spurs are a team, I think, that can't win it all because of that. But, you know, I guess we'll find out. I love them in a 7-game series versus the Thunder, though.
Look, I think that's literally what the Western Conference comes down to, matchups, because I do think the Spurs could be the Thunder's kryptonite, but I don't know that the Spurs can beat a healthy Denver team. I don't know that the Spurs can necessarily beat the Timberwolves with Ant and company. Some teams just match up with other teams really well. And you're right about the Spurs coach, but to be fair to him, the same way that he's got a super young developing team, he's kind of a super young developing coach in his own right. So I think that he's kind of learning on the fly. And you're right. Maybe one of their weaknesses is clear. They're not very good at half-court execution, and they don't run a lot of sets. They literally beat you just off of the raw talent that roster has. Once they run more sets and they become better at half-court execution, it's out there for them. Like, who's going to beat the Spurs? I'm excited. I'm excited about the Western Conference playoffs, not more than the East, though, because I think there's any one of 4 teams that can come out of the East.
I don't disagree with you, but I would like you to name those 4 teams that you think can come out of the East, because I think there's 6 teams that can come out of the East.
Well, look, obviously you go Detroit, you go New York, you're going to go Cleveland.
Okay, sweet.
And the Celtics have overachieved. But I would say that my dark horse, who I don't have in the 4, it's your Sixers. It's your Sixers, because offensively, they have everything covered. You have multiple guys that can create their own shot and shoot from a high percentage from behind the arc. You've got multiple guys that can get downhill in the thick of the defense and get to the free throw line on the Sixers. And then you have Joel Embiid, who I didn't see this coming. Other than the loss of the athleticism, the shooting, the skill, the touch, the footwork are all there. When he's playing that way, there is no one person that can guard him. The Sixers, to me, are the team that nobody's talking about in the East.
He looks athletic. I'm not athletic. He looks like he's healthy. He looks like he's in shape recently, since January till now. I agree with you. Let me preface this by saying I think the Boston Celtics are your dark horse, even though they're the 2 seed. Jason Tatum is now practicing with their G League affiliate. Another step, right? If you can get Jason Tatum back by the end of March, I think the Celtics have the best team in the East. Now listen, I know they said they're shutting him the internet, he's not going to play, whatever. I don't believe that. I believe if they remain the 2 seed and he gets ramped up, you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White. You just brought in Voos.
I hear you. The thing about the Tatum thing is this, though. The Tatum that you're going to get is not the 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 or 6 assists.
But there's a 2 seed without Tatum.
I
don't need A1 Tatum.
I understand that, and I've heard the argument made that, look, if we just get a Tatum back that can give us, let's say, 18, 6, and 6. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. He is more in the supporting role. And I understand what that would matter. All I would say is this. If their doctors sign off and say he's 110% healthy, then he should play. But if he's anything less than that, or if he feels that even though I can move well, I feel a tweak here or there, don't play. I don't care if you're 90%, don't play. Don't play unless he's 100%. It's not worth it. They've been really good. And even without him, I'm not saying they're going to win the East, but I think they're going to be a tough out. And you'll have him and Brown fully healthy, fully reloaded. Brad Stevens is a lot like Howie Roseman in football. Brad Stevens is going to load up that roster around those 2 guys, and the Celtics will be right there at the top of the heap in the East next season. The scariest thing is, I, as a fan, I'd love to see him come back. And I know he's taken more time, but I'm always reminded of the Durant injury when he came back. And I didn't want him to come back. And he came back, and obviously he got hurt in the finals. Tatum's got a big decision to make. And don't forget, in bringing him back, because the Celtics run a system, and all the guys that fit into their roles, that's the big piece to bring in, and maybe he throws off their rhythm. You know what I mean? Even though he's their guy, maybe he throws off their rhythm. I would go cautionary. I wouldn't come back, but it's his call.
An Achilles injury is 6 to 9 months. It'll be 12 months in June. Like 10 months is a normal time to come back from an Achilles injury.
I understand that. I'm simply saying if he's not 100%, don't do it.
That's fair.
Don't do it.
That's fair. I also, and I'll be on my own little branch when Franz Wagner comes back. I also give the Magic an opportunity to come out of the East also. I will agree with you on this. I deeply fell off my Paolo Banchero love. I actually hate watching him play basketball. I hate watching him, but I thought he would develop. He hasn't developed at all. He looks like the same Paolo Banchero that was running through college kids. And when he can't run through kids, like Paolo Banchero and Zion Williamson are like the same basketball player. Their jump shot's kind of broken. They drive to the lane. They hit 1 or 2 from the free throw line. It's actually really annoying to see. It's so tough to watch. And they think that they're better than they are. Like, if I was Paolo Banchero, man, I would be spending so much time working on pull-up jumpers, spending so much time knocking down threes to make teams respect me. He likes to play Giannis basketball, and he's not Giannis.
I've said this about the Magic after the first 25 games or so. Paolo, by far, is more talented than Franz.
Yeah.
But Franz has been the better player. And when they're on the floor together, they don't fit. They don't fit because Paolo's a ball stopper. He just dribbles the air out of the ball before he makes a decision to either shoot or drive, and he doesn't shoot at a high percentage. Whereas the one thing that people love about Franz is the guy stays in attack mode. There's no hesitation. If he gets the ball, he's either going to pass it or he's going to attack the basket. And so people get in. I've gotten arguments where people were like, so you're saying trade? I'm not saying trade him. The guy's too young. Why would you think of that? But he does need to develop. And he does need to recognize his weaknesses. Like you said, he seems content to just survive off of his raw talent and not go about the put in the work to better himself, to become a better shooter, to become a better free throw shooter, to see the floor better when you're out there. Like he's He's very one-dimensional, and it's a weird thing because initially the criticism what people were worried about is they thought he would turn out to be very similar to Carmelo Anthony, and that Carmelo didn't really move the ball. He was a ball stopper. And I said, yeah, Melo didn't move the ball, but he was a better shooter. He got to the free throw line more, and he can make free throws. I think right now Paolo is stunted, and he needs somebody to work with him because I thought he was going to be a top 10 player this year. I did. I thought this was going to be a leap year forward, and he seems to have regressed.
Not wrong. He looks like he's like a better version of Julius Randle, but Julius Randle can definitely shoot better than him.
Right.
And he's like I don't know how to explain it. He's like a hybrid Zion Williamson, Julius Randle, and that's not who I want to be.
That's a good call.
Want to move on to this NBA All-Star Weekend. I think the most entertaining thing that I'm going to watch this NBA All-Star Weekend will be the three-point contest. I don't know how I'd feel if I was the Portland Trailblazers, but I really don't care because the career he's played and he's just shooting and he's not playing at a high level. But Damian Lillard is entering the three-point contest this year. Hasn't played, isn't active, shut down all season. Devin Booker, Con Kneepel, Tyrese Maxey, Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, Bobby Portis, and Norman the Floorman. Your pick for the three-point contest this year?
I think it's going to come down to Con Kneepel and Dame Lillard. I do. Yeah, he hasn't played, but this is a three-point shootout. Dame gets to the gym and plays around the world all day long. This won't be a problem for him. His shots will either fall or they won't fall. But I think that if Dame doesn't win it, Con Kneepel is going to win it. The other guys are all jump shooters, and your legs, you usually lose your legs if you're a Damian Lillard, a Jamal Murray. Usually jump shooters don't win. And Bobby Portis, look, he can be streaky and he could go on a streak, but I'm going to go on the fact that he's routinely kind of a bad shooter. I don't see him winning. That would be the biggest upset. If you want to win a lot of money, bet on Portis. I think Con Kneepel is going to win.
Bobby Portis, I didn't realize this, and I get it. It's not a ton of volume. 45.6% shooting from three this year. He's actually had the highest three-point percentage in the three-point contest this year, which is like when I heard his name in there, I'm like, why are we putting Bobby Portis in it? And then I looked, I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. He has the highest percentage this year.
For sure.
I don't think I've seen, and maybe I'll YouTube it afterwards, but I don't think I've seen Con Kneepel miss an open three-pointer this year. Like, the guy shoots so much better than I expect him. I watched this kid play at Duke, and granted, he was the second option to Cooper Flagg, and Cooper Flagg is incredible. I didn't see this. He's been incredible in the league and way better than I expected. Con Kneepel is what everyone wanted Corey Kispert to be.
Yes. Facts. Con Kneepel is the main reason why the Hornets have turned it around. I call the Con Kneepel effect because LaMelo's their most talented player, but Con Kneepel is actually their best player right now. He's already their best player. Because of how hard he plays on both ends of the floor, because he's such a great shooter. And I didn't know this, just like you. I didn't know that Con Kneepel was that good off the dribble. He is isolating guys and taking them off the dribble, or they're running him in pick and roll, and he's a terrific pick and roll player. And I didn't know he had that in his bag.
What did I say? I screw up. You said you mean Con Kneepel? Yeah, I meant Con Kneepel. He's been incredible. I think that he's been next level, and I'm very, very thrilled to what Con Kneepel's been. Yeah. I do want to. I want to just vent for a second about the dunk contest.
Go ahead.
Man, what are we friggin' doing for the NBA? Like, what are we doing? We had a guy that was willing to do the dunk contest, that is a 19-year-old star in the NBA. And we went with Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Kashad Johnson, and Jace Richardson. There's one name on that list that I recognize that gets decent minutes, and it's Jackson Hayes. I might be missing one. I know you're a little bit more versed. I feel like the Carter Bryant gets some run for the Spurs, but not much.
Not much.
I've not seen Kashad Johnson play much for the Heat. And Jace Richardson, I know doesn't play. I watched way too many Magic games to know he doesn't play. Why did we not get VJ Edgecombe to be in the dunk contest?
He would have been my first selection.
Like, why did we not? Hey, VJ, you're going to be there. He'll be there for Rising Stars. He would have did it too, 100%. They were like talking about like, hey, we need to get VJ to the dunk contest in Philadelphia. He's like, yeah, I would do it if they asked me. Like, didn't ask him. We asked Jace Richardson. The NBA dunk contest should be, you should have to average 8 points a game minimum to be in the dunk contest. If I want to watch a dunk contest with a bunch of guys I don't know, I'll go watch the street dunk contest that they have. Like, that's
better,
joke.
by the way. The street contest is better. You know what? The same way that Adam Silver wants guys to play at least 65 games to be able to be nominated for accolades and awards and things like that. Maybe you should be like that with the dunk contest. You have to play X amount of minutes to be able to qualify to be in the dunk contest.
I hear that. And the part that I think that the reason that they did this is because so many people chose not to do it. And they couldn't find people for it, but they didn't want to get rid of the event. But like, man, I'm talking about the likes of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, Dominique Wilkins. These guys did the dunk contest, and it was, you couldn't, Saturday night, the main event dunk contest was must-see TV. Now it's, I'll watch it. Maybe.
You know what's crazy? I know he hasn't been in it in years, but I would be entertained more by if Zach LaVine still competed. You know what I mean? Like Zach LaVine, I'd rather watch Zach LaVine run it back, him and Aaron Gordon, even though I know that's not going to happen. The problem with today's NBA is most of the stars, I'm not saying all of them, but most of the stars, they're more concerned about social media and their brand and how they'll look if they don't win the dunk contest. So they don't want to compete. That's the truth. They worry more about their brand and what people will say on social media should they lose in the dunk contest. So they don't compete. Anthony Edwards is freakishly awkward. When is Ant ever going to be in the dunk contest?
I wish. I would rather watch stars do dunks that aren't as cool than watch guys I've never watched play basketball do dunks that might be like high difficulty. Like they might be the best dunkers in the league. I don't know. Like Carter Bryant might be like, oh my God, like he does it through the legs. And I don't care. Like I care what Ant Edwards does. I care what VJ Edgecombe does. I care what, like guys, I know who they are. I don't have no affiliation to these guys.
The NBA is a star-driven league.
100%.
And yet you have to like bend over backwards to get the stars to compete in these kind of events. They don't want to compete, even obviously it's not for the money because they make much more money than what they're offering. But it should be about to just show who's the best. What happened to that part? Just to where you can go, I'm the best at this. You know what I mean? That's why the 3-point contest has become the main event of the weekend.
Yeah,
because you still do get some big names competing in the 3-point contest. The slam dunk contest, like you said, you get guys where you're like, I didn't even know this guy was in the league. I didn't even know, like, this guy that's competing, did he even get off the bench? Think about this, and this is nothing against Matt McClung. Matt McClung won it 3 years in a row, and Matt McClung gets no burn wherever he's at. Like, he's just riding pine, but he's the 3-time dunk champion.
You know, it's funny. I liked Mac McClung because he was like an 87er, Sixers G League affiliate. Like, I don't know, just local. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's still not fun. It's not fun at all. Last thing I want to talk about today is the WWE, and just quickly, because we only have a couple minutes left. I was at the Raw in Philadelphia after Royal Rumble. That promo between Punk and Roman at the end of Raw was one of, if not the best promo I've ever seen. And if you're going to give me 3 more of those headed up to WrestleMania, sign me up. It's funny. I have a friend that's way more into WWE than me. I'm into WWE, but this guy, who won the Royal Rumble in 1997? Oh, it was this guy. I'm like, how the hell do you know all that?
Right.
He watched reruns of Royal Rumble and WrestleManias. He's been to every WrestleMania the last 10 years.
Wow.
Everyone live. He goes, if they're going to do this, like Roman versus Punk, they better bring up the Shield. They better bring up how Roman started. They better bring up the history. And in the first promo, they hit it all. They hit it all, every part of it. Mo, I was watching and I was invigorated.
I loved
it.
I loved it. Reigns, you have to remember how far he's come, because he was garbage on the mic early on when they were trying to shove him down our throats and make him the guy, and he wasn't ready. He was terrible on the mic, and he's found a style that fits and it works for him. And when you can hold your own with somebody who I think is great on the mic, just a natural like Punk, those kind of promos get me excited about what's going to happen at WrestleMania. You're right. The best part of that Raw was that promo.
I think the women's street fight was terrible. I think it was maybe one of the worst fights ever. Raquel versus Stephanie Vaquer. I think it was awful. They screwed up so many times. They were Raquel was trying to put the chair in the side of the ring for like an hour and a half. It was terrible. But that promo at the end, man, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And
it was fire.
You're gonna give me that for WrestleMania, sign me up. I think they got to be very careful who they give Jade Cargill to, because she is still terrible on the mic. So it's very obvious we're gonna get Liv versus Vaquer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, oh, she hasn't made her decision. Decision's made. I think the winner of the Chamber you're going to get versus Jade, and the winner of the Chamber you're going to get versus, I think Cody wins the Chamber for the men's, and you're getting Cody Drew. Who do you think wins the women's Chamber and gets Jade Cargill at WrestleMania?
I'm going to go with what you said. It's hard because you have to be careful. Like, a lot of people say they'd love to see Rhea Ripley win. I don't think Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill work.
Nope.
So you know what I mean? Rhea can't win because Jade's so bad in the ring. Like, she's going to have somebody who's a talented wrestler, but somebody that's also small enough that she can kind of like throw around, because she's a very limited power wrestler. So maybe Io wins or somebody like that, but it'll have to, I don't know, because Jade is a hard person to match up with because she's so limited in what she can do.
I think her wrestling's gotten a lot better. I think her wrestling has gotten like light years better than what it was. I'm more concerned with the promos and like who can carry her through a promo. Like, she can't say I'm that bitch 12 times and that's it. Like, you gotta, I'm that. Like, you can't do that. Like, well, and Jordan Grace and Jade are fighting each other tomorrow or Friday. So if
you want somebody to carry her, then maybe do the unexpected. Have Liv choose her. Liv could carry her.
Liv could carry her, but it's not a believable matchup. Like, Io would be a great David versus Goliath. You can root for Io. She's an incredible wrestler. I just, like, what is she gonna flip Jade off the top turn? No, because Jade might break her neck. Like they're so scared to do that.
Right.
We'll talk about it more. We got to go. We're at our time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee and Sports this morning. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That is my guy, Mo Better. Mo, do me a favor and close us out.
Chat, thank you for joining us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Make sure you check out our flagship show, Wire to Wire tonight. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you guys.
I'll see y'all tonight, 7 p.m. We might talk a little WWE. Have a great one.